starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Warning: the material discussed in this show may be sensitive or a trigger for some listeners. Strong language and topics are discussed. We talk with active duty service members and practice OPSEC at all times. You have been warned.
The Bipolar DM, Jason Cottam. His show talks about Dungeons and Dragons, indie writing, and living with a mental illness, in particular bipolar disorder, borderline disorder, and major depression, among other diagnoses. Check us out right here on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Eastern, also on WLFE-DB.com, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. So take a seat, sit back, and get ready for the Bipolar DM.
Sorry about that. Just realized Mac was muted. Welcome to the Bipolar DM Show. I am your host, Jason. This is a show about Dungeons and Dragons, indie writing, and living with a mental illness, in particular bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and major depression, among other diagnoses. You can contact us by email at thebipolardm@gmail.com or visit our webpage, www.thebipolardm.com. There you'll find links to our live show as well as resource materials on mental illness, Dungeons and Dragons, and independent writing. Sorry, I have a little problems here with my mic. Okay. And but also, yes, it has links to our live show, resources on independent writing, on Dungeons and Dragons, on mental health, and some support. And be sure to watch us live. We are on WLFE-DB.com, and we are also on the Variety Unlimited channel on Stream TV. And you can also find us on Twitch TV on twitch.tv/thebipolardm. We are proud supporters of Safe Space. For those of you who are not familiar with what Safe Space is, we are a virtual safe space for people to be able to go to when, got it. Go to when you're having a problem, having a crisis, or not even letting it get to a crisis, but when things are not going well in your life and you need to reach out to somebody. We are a safe place for that. We're not doctors, we're not psychiatrists, we're not here to diagnose you or solve your problems or anything like that, but what we are here is to listen and provide resources. So consider if you're in crisis, go to WLFE.com and click on the Safe Space button, and there they will hook you up with some resources. And last but not least, if you like what we're doing and you'd like to be a supporter of this show, we have a Patreon account. If you go to patreon.com/bipolardm, you too can help support this show with various amounts of giving. And we have resources we have goodies available at each tier. We're still working on it. It's still kind of a new thing to us, so we're still playing around with it. But we're very excited about what we're doing in the future with some of the projects that we got going on. On today's show, we are going to be talking with a young man by the name of Sam, who lives with autism and has come up with a very interesting way of relating to people, those that we would refer to as normal people, I guess you could say, what it's like to live with this, live with being on the spectrum. And let me go ahead and bring him on.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? So,
Good to be here.
yeah, great having you here. Let's go real quick on your background. Tell us about kind of where you came from and what your life was like growing up with being on the spectrum.
Sure. So, my life growing up the spectrum was definitely a difficult one. It was definitely more challenging than others, but I made it through it. I struggle with anxiety. I didn't make a lot of friends, and I still have trust issues. It's lingering on there, so that's just some of the key issues. But
Mm-hmm.
also, it was definitely a challenging time because I was confused. Didn't understand what life was supposed to be and how we were supposed to function in society.
Okay. Yeah, and which is very interesting. So, let's go ahead and talk about that. Where was this moment when you actually did realize what you want to be doing with your life? What purpose you found for yourself?
It was after I joined my high school's media club, and ever since I fell in love with it, that's when I
Mhm.
started the podcasting. And after I fell in love with it, I decided to continue my media skills with my own podcast, and that's where Autism Rocks and Rolls was born.
Yeah, let's talk about that. This I got to listen to some of it. Some great stuff, great material. I like how you blend in talking about autism, but not just autism, but also a variety of mental health issues on your show. So you talk about a lot of things there, and then how certain songs relate to that. And how did you come up with that concept?
Well, it depends on which one you're talking about. Are you talking about one of the music ones I did?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I just want to make sure. I didn't want to answer you wrong there. So the concept of that idea was I've been a big music fan my whole entire life. And ever since then, I decided to one of my ways of doing episodes. I call it the APE process. A stands for autistic behavior. The P
Mm-hmm.
stands for perspective. E stands for entertainment. So this was definitely an E. So I decided to entertain people by saying, "What the hell? Let's do a podcast that is autism rocks and rolls with music." And I found a way to do it, and we did it. And I decided to do different varieties. I did pop, country, rap,
Mm-hmm.
rock, and all those varieties because each of them have some semblance of autism in my eyes or a mental health issue.
Yeah. And then get circling back to your message, which is what would you say is your overall message to people when it comes to mental health and mental illnesses?
That, well, mental illness is I guess my overall message would be no matter what you have, there's a way around it, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to be cured. If you hear voices, maybe those voices are telling you something.
Mm-hmm. Which is a great message about overcoming with whatever comes your way. And some of us have bigger challenges than others. I know I do my own struggles too. What were some of the struggles that you had to deal with growing up, and then also, I guess, would say carry over into your life now?
Well, as far as mentally goes, one of them was definitely anxiety, definitely
Mm-hmm.
big time. I wanted to focus on routines. Like I didn't do daily changes. Like if you told me sporadically, "Hey, we're going to Walmart," I basically have a freak attack. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one growing up. And it's not as much now, but unless it's something I love, then it's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But in all honesty, those are probably the two big ones that I've had to overcome and still deal with to this day.
And there's a lot of people out there even now who struggle with that same thing. And so, what would be your advice to them to help them get through that?
I would probably say that take a deep breath and relax, really, because at the end of the day, it's better. And while it may be hard, you do really have to go with the flow, and life's going to throw it at you. The way you stand out of the pack is the way you go around the hoop. That the way you go around the hoop. If you can go around it, that you stand out more than the other person does.
Mm-hmm. And you do have a great message, which I want to talk about for a little bit, which is basically no door is closed to you or to a person, no matter what their disability is. It's just a matter of figuring out, like how you just said before, a way around it. And so it's really, I guess I can't find the right words to express how very profound it is to think that way. And it's obviously not something you just came up with overnight, or was it something you just came up with? How did you come about this way of thinking?
It was through the podcast that I really developed the way of my thinking, but also I just learned from experience that this is my way of thinking. If you don't like it, you have the right to leave. And I
Mm-hmm.
not I had to change my ways and change to a better person to get to that. But I'm thankful that I did. And while it was a hard time to get to it, I knew I crossed the finish line because I got there. And I can say today I'm living a much more happier life than I did 5
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
That's great. I'm so glad that things are going much better in your life. And um, so what about let's get back to the music and those things. What are some of the similarities you've found in music, and especially different genres and autism? That's interesting topic.
Well, I would definitely say, well, with the rock, there's a lot of anger in it, and that anger, I mean, in a way, it's good to hear because you're so overwhelmed sometimes that music just calms the nerves down. And I have this
Mm-hmm.
big music poster that I'll show real quickly. I don't mind to show it. Um,
Yeah.
and this is probably all the things that help it out. Like inspires me, make me believe I'm
Oh,
gonna be all
okay.
right, makes my soul ache, taps my toes, keeps my heart beating. I mean, these are
Yeah.
all real to me. There's a way of wanting to do it, and the messages that it provides through the autism and through not autism with the mental health is very satisfying to me because it's showing me that, hey, someone or something is paying attention to the world of mental health and autism.
Mm. And how did you pick some of your songs? Because you pick some amazing songs, and then you explain your picks too when you do it on the show. How do you pick the songs themselves?
Well, I usually use what I download. If I like the
Mm-hmm.
song and I download it, then I'm probably gonna get attached to it, and I'm gonna put it into the episode itself. Now, unfortunately, the music ones are probably not gonna happen again, but I'm not gonna say it won't happen again. But it's highly likely it will never happen again because I just don't want to do that. It was hard. They were kind of harder to
Mm-hmm.
make than others, but they were definitely worthy ones to make in my eyes.
Yeah, because you come with quite a few songs too. I thought, oh, you have like your top 5 or top 10, and then you kept going on and on, and the selection of music was really great too. Uh, and especially with some of the deeper songs that. And so, how does well, I guess I would like to know is how does music so how do you find music? What is it about music itself? What is it that draws you so much to it?
I would just say the variety of messages it gives, and some of them are
Mm-hmm.
mysterious. And to me, finding out the mysterious message, or because I like to overanalyze stuff, is really fun. And some are saying it, and it's a way of expressing itself. You can grieve through the
Mm-hmm.
music. You can feel good through the music. So, and music's been a beneficial tool to our society. So really, music's a
Yeah,
tool to help everyone grow, in my eyes.
yeah. And like any tool, it can also be misused. What's some music that you avoid listening to?
Um,
Not saying
I'm
it's
open to
bad, but
any.
that's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know. I'm open to any music, really, but if it's slow, I'm probably not gonna like it.
yeah,
It's after
yeah.
a
Because I
while, I'm
wonder
like,
like
all right,
how,
we've had enough. It's play a little faster now. Come on.
yeah, yeah. And let's see. Um, with your broader message with when you're talking about mental health, you also addiction too, which is a very interesting because a lot of people don't think about the health aspect of addiction and how closely related those two things are. And so it's actually very interesting that you chose to talk about that too.
Well, first of all, thank you. And the reason being is I've had personal experience with that myself. I've had a family member who smoked for a long time, and I was just afraid she was going to lose her lungs that day. And I've seen people go downhill with addiction, and I've seen the pain through music videos. And I thought, oh, I need to mention this. Like, hey, I've never been through the drug addiction world. I don't plan on doing it, but if you are, know that it's not the full way, as I said. And if it is the way, then I understand you have to do what you have to do, but be smart about it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I hate, to be honest with you, is they're saying, don't do drugs, no drugs. I mean, like, don't do drugs, but maybe it helps. I mean, it's a helpful tool. I'm not saying I'm promoting drugs. That's the least of my goals, but I'm just saying if it's a tool that they want to use, then in America, we have the right and respect to do it. But in my opinion, I also believe that you should be smart about it and not go down south to where you're basically addicted.
Yeah. Yeah, and also and also like DUIs and stuff like that, being dangerous to the public and all that. So, okay, let's go ahead and let's see who's watching right now. If anybody has any questions they'd like to ask, go ahead. I'm watching the chat right now, or the let's go ahead and we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then and when we get back, we got some talk about some of the stuff in the future you got going on. Okay. Okay, welcome back to the Bipolar DM Show. We're having a conversation with Sam Mitchell about autism and rock and roll. And let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff you got going on right now in your life. You got a few projects going on right now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I have several projects going along. I've had a big gala event that's coming on April 16th, 2022. I've done some charity events. I worked with kids from Casper Kids who had people with extra abilities went fishing. I got to work the media at a local wrestling event, not like a full-fledged wrestling like WWE, but I got the ability to work on the media stuff at a local wrestling event. So that was really, really, really cool. And I got in my probably my two biggest, but probably an extra one then I can share is at a pumpkin patch, we got to host a special needs night where a lot of people with mental challenges were able to come out to a pumpkin patch, and they were able to see how a pumpkin patch was really gone, and everything was pretty chill.
Oh, that's amazing! And so you kind of finding your niche in the public speaking world.
Yes, sir. I don't get staged a lot. I don't get nervous when the camera's in front of me. As a matter of fact, sometimes I'll tell you, with the camera in front of me, I funny thing is fun fact is when I'm in front of the camera, sometimes I even like a jackass. So that's pretty much me when it comes to the camera. So, but I'm not really afraid of public speaking. I speak well. I'm not like full-fledged idiot when I'm on stage, but I can be serious and have fun and and just speak about autism and talk about my mission.
Awesome. And what is your mission?
Allow me.
Mm-hmm.
The mission of Autism Rocks and Rolls is to take the stigma off of autism and other conditions that many think are disabilities. People on the spectrum are not broken, do not need to be fixed. Those who have conditions or abilities not to be paid, there's nothing to be sorry about. And there's more,
Outstanding.
though. I want to help parents understand the diagnosis of autism not to be dreaded news. I want to show the positive side of autism and get rid of excluding, stereotyping, and making assumptions. I want to study and showcase the success of all people, assist other entrepreneurs in and out of the podcasting world, and recognize that there is no normal. That's what it basically is.
Oh, that's great, especially now that you got it encapsulated in such a way that you can define, when you're asked what is that you want to be doing, you have it perfectly defined and able to articulate it. So that's awesome. Another thing I noticed that was interesting about your show was the use of the advice you give to parents. The neonormal parents that or the neuronormal parents that are having to deal with a child with autism, and I love some of the advice that you give where you interject about that.
Right, and I thank you for that. I know someone's realistic, but what they don't know in my eyes is no matter what the solution is, whether it's realistic or unrealistic, I believe that as long as no one's getting hurt, everyone should be good to go.
Mm-hmm. And what's some of the number one things, or probably one of the number one things you want to have a parent take away, a key piece of advice for you to give them, when they're dealing, or they're in the trenches, they're dealing with their child, they don't know what's going on, everybody's getting frustrated. Advice, for those parents that are right there in the trenches.
Calm down and really take a breath, because and pick your battles too, because some battles you're not going to win, and there's stuff where we're going to put our foot down and it's not coming off the ground. There's going to be some of those where it's guns, it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. You're not going to make us. You're going to have to force us to go, and it's not worth that battle. Sometimes it's worth the battle. I will agree, but not all the time. You got to know when to use the force and not really.
Now let's flip it around. Your advice to the child with autism on the spectrum and how they interact with with parents. What's your advice to them? Because they have that other key of the flip on the coin right there too.
Right, and I guess the best advice I can give, what I'm thinking right now, is build that trust. I mean, I know with me, I have trust issues, as I mentioned. I'm probably going to have them. But out of the most people I trust, it's my parents. I trust them 99.9%. I'm never going to trust anyone 100%, never. But 99.9 to me is good enough. And saying that is a good feeling. So definitely build the trust in my eyes. That way we could go to you and solve the problems.
Excellent. And let's see. Let's talk about interacting with people on the spectrum. Most of the problems we have with mental health and all that in this field is ignorance and people not knowing what to do or what to say or saying the wrong thing. And so, what would be something that you tell to somebody that's interacting with somebody, reacting with the person on the spectrum? What would you give them advice about?
To those interacting, I would say try to figure it out, because we're just nervous at the end of the day. We're scared. I mean, socializing for me is probably one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. It's scary because you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know what's coming out. It's just unexpected. It's just so unexpected. And that feeling of unexpected kind of gets me shaky. So really, to be honest, I think you need our best to solve the puzzle and take a moment and learn what we're talking about. And I'm not trying to be as defensive. I mean, I know there are days where we're going to be like, hey, we ain't going to learn everything, but, try to see who we are beyond the autism spectrum. Because there's other parts of me that just don't go on autism. I'm not just autistic. I'm a creative writer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm this and
Mm-hmm.
that. And there's other people who would say, yes, they're autistic, but they're yada, 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 yada.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine on the spectrum. He was actually diagnosed late in life, and a podcaster, a motivational speaker. He also does what should we call it? Coaching, life coaching, particularly with people on the spectrum. He specializes in that. And having lived it himself, unfortunately, having lived almost his entire life without knowing what was wrong with him, and then later in life, saying, "Oh, it's I'm not weird. I'm just autistic," as he likes to say. And
Yeah, and you know what you're saying is part of the mission. I'm not trying to like bully or pick on you, so don't get the wrong idea. But you said, what's wrong with them? There was probably nothing wrong with him at the end of the day. He was probably had some challenges along the way, but in my eyes, I don't see it as there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
I just see he had some challenges.
Yes. And but that was how he thought about himself, though, is what I meant, though. And he took comfort, though, in knowing he's not alone. That there are other people like him out there, like us, and that we're not alone in this world. And I think that's a very important message that you share. That there are other people out there of various backgrounds, and I like how you like to be very inclusive and a message of people coming together.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We gotta help each other out, and I need help for most of my life. So if I need help, you all probably need help.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really appreciate you coming on, and I know we went a little bit shorter than we are expecting, but that's all right. We had some great material,
Yeah,
but
hey,
I did.
It was short but sweet.
Yes,
sweet.
it was. Now, before I let you go, how is the best way for people to get a hold of you? Because
yeah,
we
sure.
want to
So
find you.
you can go to my website, autismrocksmells.com. That has everything. But if you're looking to listen to an episode, go to your favorite media platform. If it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, I'm there. You think it, I'm probably there.
Yeah, it's Autism Rocks and Rolls, AND. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
Just a second. There we go. Great podcast. I have enjoyed listening to it. I highly recommend others to check it out too. And thank you again for coming on, Sam. I really appreciate having you on here.
Thank you. It was great to be here, man. I hope you took something from me, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
You too. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and you have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one, man. You take care now. Bye-bye.
Yep. And so, very much enjoyed having this conversation with Sam and listening to his podcast. He's young, up and coming, and it's nice also listening to different points of view when it comes to mental health. Not all points of view are valid, obviously, but for the most part, what we share, especially those of us with personal experiences, it does have some weight to it. And really enjoyed the show, especially this new year. We are working on getting some more guests to come on and to talk more, in our favorite subjects, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons, whether it's some more talk about indie writing, or of course our main staple, which is mental health. Thank you again for tuning in, and Be sure to listen to this show anytime, anywhere where you find your favorite podcasts. You can reach us by email on thebipolardm@gmail.com or our webpage, thebipolardm.com. Watch us live Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on WLFE-DB.com, Stream TV on the Variety Unlimited channel, as well as on twitch.tv/thebipolardm. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, everybody, take your meds.
Thank you for listening to the Bipolar DM. They love sharing thoughts and ideas. See you next week, 7 p.m. Saturdays on WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows, and that makes for great talk radio. WLFE Digital Broadcast Network is on TV. You can watch all of our shows on WLFE-DB.com. Check out our channels: Paranormal View for all of your paranormal type shows, LGBTQ Friends for all of our LGBTQ shows, Variety Unlimited for all other shows. It runs 24/7 right on WLFE-DB.com. You'll even catch the lives, all in one place. Never miss an episode, past or future. WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.